Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel. And today we will be looking at IceBerg, the brand new effect by Salim. It is an app that does all the mathematics for you for some of your favorite any card at any numbers that use specific stacks or use specific methods that revolve around mathematic principles that will, require you to think on the fly. And this app does all the math and all the work for you so that you can do these effects without ever having to memorize or having to work around those maths on the spot. It is a very good app and I think it's gotten a lot of slack, especially because of the price, but I do think it is well worth it for a lot of reasons. And if you catch this at a discount, I think you should run to Illusionist to pick it up because it is very good. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Perfect, so you decided to stick around, which means you want to learn more about IceBerg. So what is IceBerg? As mentioned in the intro, it's essentially an application that will allow you to do very clean any card at any numbers that use stack or specific mathematical principles that require mental work during the performance. So I think the best way for me to show you how this would work is to give you a performance. Now, of course, I do not have my phone in my case, but I think that a lot of people want to know how the phone plays in the routine, which is what I'm going to show you. And even though my phone is not there, we're going to pretend that is there and you're going to see exactly how the phone works into this in the routine. And then I'll also explain to you other methods of using the phone to achieve this effect. Okay? So the most simplest way to do it is you would introduce a deck of cards you're going to place to the side and you tell two spectators, you're going to tell them, what we're going to try here is an effect that has been in the head of magicians and mentalists for years because of its inexplicability. There's essentially a magician called David Berglas that was able to take two random coincidences and every single time without failure make something happen from them. So he's able to take two pieces of information and always make it a coincidence, and no one has ever managed to find out how it works because for some reason it always just does. And I want to show that to you. Do you mind? You can do whatever pattern. And then you say, okay, so what we're going to do is I'll have you here. I want you to think of a playing card, okay? I want you to go through your head, go through all of the playing cards and just think of them. And then I want you to just go through them, cycle through them, and land on one right now. Do you have a playing card in mind? Now I want you to commit to it. So what we're going to do here is I'll open my phone and I'll go onto the Notes app. And I want you to take the phone and just write down the card that you're thinking of. So let's say they write down 5 of hearts. So you say, perfect. Now you've committed yourself to this card, which means you can't change. That is the first piece of information. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have you think of a number. So what we're going to do is don't go for a small number like, 1, 2, or 3. That's going to be boring. But also don't go for something like 38, 40, 50. That's going to be too long. But anywhere between 1 and 52, think of a number. Let's say they go for 23. Okay? So they're going to write down 23. So I say, perfect. So now you've went for a random number and a random piece of information, and you went for a random card, which is our second random piece of information. And now we've combined two random thoughts, and we are going to try and see if it can bring a coincidence. Because on the table, this deck has been sitting here the entire time. I'm just going to take it out, and we're going to count down. What was your number? Let's say they said 23. Let's say they say 23. So you say, perfect. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But what was the card that you were thinking of? The 5 of hearts, was it, right? And then you would continue, or you continue from the fable. That's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And this would be the 23rd card, correct? 23, 5 of hearts, and of course we are here at 23, 5 of hearts. And that would essentially be one of the performances of how you can use IceBerg in order to achieve the effect. Now, I haven't performed IceBerg as it's, intended because, well, I don't have my phone with me, but that is exactly how it would look normally if you were to do it in front of a spectator. That's exactly how it would look and how it would play out, okay? So that is what IceBerg allows you to do. Now let's talk about where you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get. So you can buy this directly from illusionist.com. it will set you back 50 USD. And what you get is an application. So you're going to get an application that is going to serve you the purpose of this effect. You're going to install the application. You're going to get video tutorials. That's going to go over everything. The video tutorials, I think, are almost a bit over 2 hours long. They go over a ton of stuff. However, I do feel that the tutorials were made a bit rushed because some of them repeat the same information and some of them kind of like towards the start are actually meant to be at the end, and some of them at the end are at the start. So some of the tutorials are a bit messed up and jumbled, but overall you'll get the ideas through. There's live performances, both in studio and for real audiences, for you to see how this plays out in the real world. Those are included, and everything is well shot and well explained. And there's also constant updates. For example, the notes performance that I find is my favorite. If I have 2 spectators, I think it's great, and that's a new addition that was not available at the start. So before we continue, I do want to unpack some more features because as you've seen, I've done you the notes performance, but you can also do this routine with voice recognition. So you just have your phone on the table, and while you're talking to the spectator, if you give certain cues with your voice, the phone will do everything that you need to do. So then, you know, you can maybe just have your phone on the table and say, look, we're going to use the card, so we're going to take this out. So as you take out your phone to place it back in your pocket, you get the information that you need. There's a brilliant way to do it where your phone is on the table, you have someone name a playing card, and they say, okay, so what we're going to do is that's your first randomly generated piece of information, right? Now we're going to do that again, but this time, let me open up my Safari right here, and let's type random number generator. So what you're going to do is you're going to just tap generate, and as you can see, it's a random number. Tap it again and again and again, and they can tap it as many times as they want, and they stop at a number. And you say, perfect. So let's say 28. You place your phone down on the table. It will now in plain sight display to you exactly what you need to do in order to do the effect. No one else will see it except for you, and then you're able to do the effect without any problems. That is genius. So that's a really good way to do it. You know, if you want to do it for 2 spectators or 1 with a random number generator from, you know, Google, they can see you type it in Google. They're the ones that click on it. The phone is in full view the entire time. That's a brilliant way to actually do it as well. And there's actually, you know, manual input ways that you can do this if you want. So you can do everything manually. I don't know why you would when there's so many better options. But if that suits, you know, if you have a helper, the helper could do it for you and cue you in via earpiece, or he could signal you from the back, whatever. But there are manual inputs as well if you want that, you know, you can just brute force it into it, and it's going to tell you the inputs. But I do think that the random number generator and the notes app are more than enough to just blow all the other methods out of the water because they are so fair. Additionally, I do want to say that this does use the ice cold ACAN principle for most of the routine. So if you know that, that's how this works. But additionally, there are other stacks. So you can use Aronson, you can use Stebbins, you can use Mnemonica, you can use a ton of different stacks, and you can also use this with the ASCII wind method. So if you know the ASCII wind method, you can do it with that. So, you know, you can have it in the box, and as you remove the box, the phone is going to tell you all the information. If you know the method, when you dump out the cards in the box, you'll be able to do it. That will require a bit of work on your part because you'll still have to know a bit of, you know, a bit of the stack in order to do it. But there's also ways that he tells you to do it where, you know, the deck is on the table, you spread it, and you say, look, you could have named any card and any number, correct? You bring back the deck, place it on the table, and you're good to go for the effect. So there are ways for you to be able to do it like that without any issues. It's included with you in the app. So now that you know all of the features that you are getting with IceBerg, let's talk difficulty. So how difficult is this to perform? Well, if you're performing the ice cold option, it is very easy. The phone will give you everything that you need to know in order to achieve the effect. You're only going to have to do 1 sleight and 1 move in order to achieve it, and it's done on the offbeat or with some simple misdirection. I've performed this over a dozen times already. No one has ever seen the move happen whatsoever. Maybe on camera, the move is a bit, you know, more prominent, but trust me, in real life performance, no one will ever see it whatsoever. So overall, it is relatively easy because the app does all the work. If you're doing the ASCII wind method in the box, yes, you'll have to do a bit of memory work, even with the app. But if you want to do it outside of the box, the ASCII wind method, the way that Shamir tells you, that also will require 0 sleight of hand. So everything here is pretty much self-working. The phone does essentially all of the work for you. Now, in terms of practicality, so how practical is this? Well, you will have to carry around a deck of cards. So a deck of cards that is either in the ice cold ACAN setup or in a specific stack that you know or you love, or even if you don't know any stack, you just put the deck inside of that stack and you carry that with you and you'll be able to perform the effect since you'll always have your phone on you, okay? So that all it needs is a deck of cards that is in a specific order or stack and your phone, okay? In terms of inspectability, the ice cold ACAN cannot be inspected, but if you're just doing it like the brute force way with just a stack, that can be fully inspected by your spectator afterwards. In terms of angles, the angles are pretty much 360 for this. They are really, really good. Even, you know, most of the peaks and everything that you get from the app are also very well covered and motivated, and they appear, disappear on your command, which is great. For example, the Notes app one, as you take the phone to pass it to your second spectator and you give it to them, you've seen the peak, and the moment you hand it back, the peak disappears. And as you take it back to say, you could have named something, you could have named something, you're getting your peak. And as you place your phone back on the table, the peak disappears. Brilliant, brilliant input methods here whatsoever. So yes, I think most of the routine can be done 180 to 360 without a problem. In terms of reset, the ice cold ACAN reset, you've seen it, me do it. It's gonna take you maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and it's best done when the spectator is not looking. But if you're using the normal ASI-win or normal stack method, for this, there is no reset. And in terms of table, none of them really require a table, but they do require a surface for you to deal the cards. So you will need to, you know, if you're doing this on the street, you'll have to maybe have someone hold out their hands and you're going to deal the cards in their hands. But if you do have a table, you're just going to deal things on the table. It will make things easier at the end of the day. So in terms of performance, where would you perform this? Well, this is something that you can perform definitely, you know, video chats, Zoom calls, etc. It will work perfectly in real life scenarios, walk around, table hopping, restaurants, bars, anything like that. It will work wonders. But specifically, I think this won't really work in parlor stage show because I don't feel why if you don't perform with the phone. I think bringing out your phone for a Notes app on a parlor stage show when you can use other props like a board or just have things named out loud isn't the best method to do it, especially since it's small and only the 2 first spectators are going to see what's on it. So I don't think this is really going to play well for parlor stage, but for any close-up scenario, it will work wonders for you and it will do what it's supposed to do. So now that you know everything about IceBerg, let's get into the positives and negatives. What are the negatives of the app? One is that you will not be able to really use this in parlor stage. I think it won't specifically work and it won't be as justified as close-up. So it won't be the best way to do it. Second of all, don't be fooled by it saying you can do the ASI-win method. You will not be able to do the ASI-win box method that he does, which is one of the cleanest ACAN that ever existed with this app. It will help you achieve it, but you will still need to learn the stack for that. You can do the ASI-win method outside of the box with this, but not the in-box version. So do keep that in mind. So in terms of positive, it is really well designed as you expect from Salim. It's super easy to do. It has a ton of peak features. It does what it's supposed to do. It makes a lot of stack and, you know, mathematical principle ACANs work wonders and work super easily without any of the maths. The peaks are devious, they're fun to do, they're interesting, they're well justified for close-up performances, and the effect is pretty much very practical as well. So having said all of this, would I recommend IceBerg and what do I give it out of 10? I think that if you're obsessed with ACANs and you don't know any stacks, I think that even at full price, you could justify this app because of how good it is. However, if you already know stacks, you already know ACANs with that, this has no purpose for you whatsoever. Logically, you will not use this at all for anything if you already know stacks or you're familiar with certain methods and already know the maths behind them. But if you don't, I think even at full price, this is well worth it. If not, wait for the usual Illusionist huge discounts that they always do. Pick this up at a discount and you will love it. I'm sure of it. So yes, I do recommend it. And I'm giving it an 8.5 on 10. That's all I have to say about this. If ever, leave a comment down below if you have any other questions. If not, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next review. Have a great one, and bye-bye.